safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers. The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
Tonight, charges filed against one of the officers involved in the shooting death of Breonna Taylor, but they aren't the charges her family was demanding. It is sparking protests all over the nation and here in Atlanta tonight. Taylor was a 26-year-old EMT who died at the hands of Louisville police in March.
Former Police Sergeant Brett Hankerson is now accused of shooting blindly into several apartments as officers were serving a no-knock warrant that night. Hankerson was fired in June. Today he was indicted for first-degree wanton endangerment for firing into nearby apartments. No charges were filed against the other two officers. People began gathering in Louisville to protest the decision shortly after it was announced. The police department in Louisville, Kentucky, has been preparing for this. It declared a state of emergency ahead of today's announcement. Some roadblocks were put in place and windows boarded up. Here in Atlanta this evening, protesters gathered around Johnson Park chanting, "Say her name." Some protesters who spoke said they don't believe the Kentucky Attorney General did the right thing. Local Attorney Gerald Griggs, who is an activist, organized the gathering and the march.
We've been marching for a while, and we've been demanding change, and change has been slow. It's happened, but it's slow, and I think our elected officials just don't understand how resolute we are. This is a new movement, it's a new generation, and we won't give up. But we want them to understand that we are tired of having to have the same conversation with them over and over and over again.
Only one of three officers who fired their weapons that night will now face charges, although he is not charged directly with shooting or killing Breonna Taylor.
Her story is now one that has become a big part of the Black Lives Matter movement and calls to reform police departments across the country. So here's a breakdown of the decision and the Attorney General's investigation. Former Sergeant Brett Hankerson is now charged with 3 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment. He could face up to 5 years in jail for each count, but the charges aren't for killing Taylor. In fact, the AG says Hankerson didn't fire the fatal shot. Instead, he's charged for blindly firing into Taylor's apartment, risking the lives of others who lived nearby. Now, Hankerson has already been booked and released from the Shelby County Detention Center in Kentucky on $15,000 bond. As for the other officers, Miles Cogsgrove and Jonathan Mattingly, they face no charges and have been on administrative leave since sometime after the shooting. Mattingly was shot in the leg that night.
Evidence shows that officers both knocked and announced their presence at the apartment.
The Attorney General says both men were justified in firing their guns because Taylor's boyfriend had shot at them. The boyfriend told police he thought it was a home invasion. The AG says there was no body camera or other video available until patrol officers arrived there on the scene. We're digging more into the details from the case and today's decision later in primetime.
Throughout the summer, Atlanta protesters called out the name of Breonna Taylor during Black Lives Matter marches. The grand jury announcement was watched closely by many in Atlanta. 11Alive's Doug Richards has more on the reaction.
The indictment of one officer in Louisville on a comparatively minor charge isn't sitting well with Atlanta activist Teos Wynn.
Today, people feel as though justice was not delivered. It was not an adequate initiation of justice for the incident at hand. And so I think that we have to go further.
Was there probable cause to bring criminal charges against any of these officers for defending themselves? Absolutely not. They were fired upon. They had every right to return fire.
Mike Pugliese is a former Gwinnett County police officer who now practices law in Snellville. Pugliese says police officers are taught not to fire blindly without a visible target. He says the indictment of one officer for wanton endangerment was a justifiable indictment.
So many people are turning now to social media to share their thoughts about former Officer Hankerson being charged. Some saying the officers were justified in their actions that night and should not face consequences. Others outraged and demanding harsher charges against all three. Some big names also weighing in, reacting to the announcement as well. Bernice King tweeting that she was praying for Breonna Taylor's family because she knew they loved her before her name became a hashtag. And Reverend Raphael Warnock, a candidate in the upcoming special election for the Georgia U.S. Senate seat, tweeting that this was a gross negligence of justice. He says we will not have justice for Breonna Taylor until all officers involved are held accountable.
11Alive is where Atlanta speaks. We want to hear what you're saying about Breonna Taylor tonight, what you have learned from the investigation, and what you think of the grand jury decision. You can text us your comments at 404-885-7600.
A former University of Georgia football player now accusing the school of blocking his transfer, saying he left the school after racist encounters with fellow students and police in Athens. Joe Hinkie is looking into Otis Reese's claims.
Number 17, Otis Reese with the tackle for the Dogs.
Otis Reese played football for 2 seasons at UGA before transferring within the SEC early this year to Ole Miss. But he tweeted Tuesday the NCAA and SEC have not approved his waiver for him to play this season and accused UGA of opposing it. 11Alive UGA insider Roddy Nabolsi.
There is an SEC transfer rule which prohibits transfers from within the conference.
Reese describes it transferring after his time at UGA took a, quote, devastating mental toll on him. He points to a white student athlete calling one of his friends and teammates the N-word and a group of white classmates mocking slavery and pretending to whip each other. Reese wrote at UGA he could not speak up without fear of it impacting his spot on the team. A UGA statement in response reads, UGA disputes any suggestion that it maintains an unsafe, unsupportive, or racially insensitive environment. Nabolsi says SEC bylaws are more likely holding up Reese's waiver. The bylaws state a student transferring within the conference must sit out 2 full semesters. In a statement, the UGA athletic department wrote, we cannot comment on student-athlete eligibility matters due to federal privacy laws, but we would be happy to share our full response to Otis Reese's waiver request if he provides a signed release allowing us to do so. Quarterback Justin Fields recently transferred from UGA and cited an incident where a student-athlete called him the N-word. Fields did not have to sit out, though, after he transferred out of the SEC to the Big Ten Conference. Nabolsi says players he's talked with describe Coach Kirby Smart working to hear about issues his players are facing.
They basically have an open forum to speak your mind, and Kirby is encouraged that with his assistant coaches. He's encouraged it with his players.
Reese also mentioned 2 encounters with police in Athens where officers acted, quote, extremely aggressive, accusing him of using drugs, and he said police harassment was constantly discussed amongst players. Reese says he received tickets and citations, and when he requested body cam footage, was told none existed. Messages 11Alive left with Athens Clark County Police today seeking any records of incidents involving Reese have not been returned. We also reached out to Reese directly today, as well as black former UGA football players, to discuss their time on campus and in Athens, but also have not heard back.
All right, coming up, people coming from all over to honor the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, how young women are remembering her legacy.
11Alive storm trackers watching the atmosphere moisten up and a few showers starting to scoot into North Georgia. So coming up, when you can expect the heaviest of the rain.
And don't forget, we are streaming as always right now on our 11Alive YouTube channel. You can subscribe and get in on the conversation right there in the community section. There's more 11Alive news in primetime after the break.
Trials and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear, on 11Alive News Primetime, weeknight.
Mourners flocking to the U.S. Supreme Court today to pay their respects to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Justice Ginsburg's casket is now at the top of the Supreme Court steps, where she will lie in repose for 2 days. More than 100 of Justice Ginsburg's former clerks met her flag-draped casket while standing on the courthouse steps. Many of them will stand guard as she lies in repose today and tomorrow for the public memorial. Earlier today, her family and fellow justices remembered her in a private ceremony inside. Chief Justice John Roberts called the court her home.
It has been said that Ruth wanted to be an opera virtuoso, but became a rock star instead. Among the words that best describe Ruth, tough, brave, a fighter, a winner, but also thoughtful, careful, compassionate, honest.
Justice Ginsburg served on the Supreme Court for nearly 30 years, the second ever female justice. Her legacy as a pioneer of gender lives on in those she inspired. Here's NBC's Kristen Welker.
Outside the Supreme Court from these young girls, a unanimous opinion honoring Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Changed her life and ours.
10-year-old Olivia Sangwa began learning about the feminist icon when she was in 3rd grade.
What do you like about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
I really like the fact that she stood up for everybody's rights, men and women. She used her mind to fight for what she believed in.
I don't think she could have a better role model than Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
9-year-old Maeve Sheeler wrote about her in a book report.
Ruth is important because she tried to make women's rights equal. Ruth is strong and tough when things get bad.
Her mother posting it online, now viewed 33,000 times. Ginsburg's appeal spanning generations, from mothers and daughters learning about her to young aspiring jurists donning their own lace collars and law school students lucky enough to meet her.
It was completely humbling to be in her presence.
Would either of you be where you are today without Justice Ginsburg?
I don't think so.
We'd be in a law school classroom if it weren't for her.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg certainly paved the way by showing that women could reach truly the highest echelon of lawyering. I don't think that the fight is over.
It sounds like the two of you are ready to some extent, pick up the torch and carry it forward.
Absolutely.
It would be an honor to. I would love to.
Yes.
A call to action motivating the next generation.
A quote that she said that has really stuck with me throughout my life is, fight for what you care about, but do it in a way
that will lead others to join you.
Young women and girls now following those words and the footsteps of a trailblazer.
The celebration of Justice Ginsburg's life is far from over. She will continue to lie in repose at the United States Supreme Court tonight and tomorrow. She will on Friday lie in state at the U.S. Capitol, the first woman and Jewish woman in our country's history to hold that honor. Next week, Justice Ginsburg will be laid to rest next to her late husband at Arlington National Cemetery. And of course, we are still following the fight on Capitol Hill over her Supreme Court seat. We will have the very latest on that coming up in about 30 minutes.
Well, 11Alive storm trackers watching some changes take place after a perfect start to this week and the beginning of fall. We're seeing the atmosphere moisten up, and what is left of beta, now post-tropical beta, moving in our general direction. And we think the main portion of the system is going to stay to our northwest, but still it could drag some very dense moisture through here, and we could see some heavy downpours. Already you can see the atmosphere where it's blue on the map. That's dry air becoming less blue, and by the time we get to tomorrow, it'll likely be yellow across North Georgia, as the atmosphere is going to be a lot more moist, and that rain is going to be moving in. Already we have a few showers across parts of North Georgia. In fact, here in Fannin County, we have a few showers. As you take a look at Blue Ridge, you can see when they have some sort of emergency workers or line workers there at the intersection, but the streets are wet. You can see them reflecting as some of that light rain has hit the ground. And we'll see more in the way of heavier rain as we head into tomorrow evening. But it'll start out very light and showery, possibly overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. And then the core of the more dense moisture will move in later tomorrow evening and into the overnight. Now, they have severe weather back in Louisiana and Mississippi, where they have a tornado watch until 10 p.m. this evening. They've had several severe thunderstorm warnings there and some tornado warnings. We're not expecting to see severe weather, organized severe weather here across North Georgia. So that is some good news, but we'll keep our eye on it because I think we could have some very heavy downpours and we could have some thunderstorms. 76 degrees our high today, 61 our low. We should be around 80 and 62 this time of year, so we weren't too far off the mark as temperatures have started to warm up again. Overnight, a lot of cloud cover, temperatures in the low 60s, so not as chilly as when we were in the low 50s just a couple of mornings ago. And then we'll make it to the mid 70s with a 50% chance of thunderstorms, so we placed a 5 on the wazometer on that scale of 1 to an 11, with 11 being a perfect day, a 50% chance of showers and storms primarily during the afternoon and evening. And the rain chance is ramping up during the day, with thunderstorms most likely late in the evening and into the early morning hours on Friday. So here's what we're thinking in terms of tonight. This is very light stuff. A lot of folks won't see a single drop. It looks more widespread than it will actually be. And then tomorrow we'll start to see some pockets of some heavier shower activity. So the Storm Prediction Center giving us a chance for general thunderstorms tomorrow, a better chance over in Alabama for some isolated severe storms. They have a level 1 chance for severe from about Birmingham southward across Alabama tomorrow, but we have just general thunderstorms expected. That doesn't mean we can't rule out an occasional isolated severe or strong storm. Definitely we'll see some heavy downpours out of this. In fact, let's roll this beautiful bean footage forward for you, and you can see throughout the day on Thursday, we'll start to see those showers work their way in. They'll get heavier as the evening wears on. Looks like a bit of a line trying to set up here as we head into the late evening, early morning on Friday, moving in through Rome and Dalton and through Blairsville, and then later on through Gainesville as we head into early Friday. So there will be some heavy downpours, but we do think the heaviest rain is going to likely be across far North Georgia. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, a 50% chance on our Thursday, mainly later in the day. That continues overnight into early Friday, and then showery throughout the day on Friday, 60% chance on Friday, and then just a 20% chance over the weekend for a few scattered showers. No big deal. I think we'll be more dry than we will be wet. And then a 30% chance as we head back to work next week. Milder temperatures into the low 80s once again, but then next week, a big cool down, and we'll have more on that coming up.
Sam, thank you. Countless conventions and trade shows have been canceled, all due to the coronavirus pandemic, and Atlanta has been home to many of them. The loss not only hurting the city, but the people putting on the shows, who tell our Caitlin Ross they are struggling to stay afloat.
As the days and weeks went by, we realized every single show was canceled, and in fact, every single show for 2020 has been canceled.
David Whalens made face shields for a while when the shutdown first happened. He helped design social distancing graphics and supported hospitals. But none of that work came close to supporting his trade show business, Exploring Inc.
The face-to-face is just critical. You're talking about thousands of companies and millions of jobs.
He designs interactive sets, does flooring and booth setup for dozens of conventions every year. He says that behind-the-scenes work supports thousands of Atlanta area workers.
The carpenters and welders and installers and designers, architects, engineers. It's really quite astounding the breadth and the width of how many people are affected by this.
Whalens is lobbying Congress to pass a second round of PPP loans or relief for the trade show industry specifically. There's only a week and a half left until Congress goes out on recess, and Whalens worries relief options will be overlooked.
There will be a tremendous amount of companies that won't survive this if they don't see some type of relief in the next few weeks.
He says fallout extends beyond just his industry.
The restaurants won't get filled up without trade shows. The airlines won't get filled up without trade shows going on. And that's the reason we're raising our voice right now. It has to be heard. We need to save this industry.
Congress is negotiating a second relief package, but nothing has been set in stone yet. Whalens is hoping that trade shows are back in business by mid-2021.
Tensions are rising as more Metro Atlanta students return to the classroom. Ahead in primetime, the debate over teachers and how much say they should have in the process.
More at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The debate surrounding whether kids should go back to school is getting more intense as more schools return to in-person learning. We want to show you what it looked like at the Central District Office of Decatur. A group of teachers protested there. They protested Decatur's school's reopening plan. The district says all teachers are expected to return to the classroom on October 12th. That will kick off a phased-in reopening plan for students. 97% of students will phase into the classroom based on their grade, and that start date is November 2nd. Aisha, Jennifer, we've seen this type of tension at a lot of different school districts. Some parents want their students to go back. There are teachers who are frustrated. They just don't feel like they have a choice in the decision that impacts their health and the health of their loved ones as well.
Yeah, Cheryl, this is especially a big problem when we're talking about the new state reports that show schools are fueling new outbreaks. Local schools have had more outbreaks in the last week than the other two leading sources combined. Those are long-term care facilities and workplaces. And so when you compare it to the data, when you're talking about facts, not feelings, then you really have to put this into perspective to say, if this is still happening at this rate in these locations where you're asking people to go into, how can you defend that when the numbers say something totally opposite, J. Bell?
Yeah, and it's interesting because when we hear about these outbreaks at the schools, it's not just about students. We're also hearing about teachers and other staff members that are becoming infected with coronavirus as well. I was looking at some information online, and AARP said that 1 in 4 U.S. teachers are at risk for severe illness when it comes to the spread of COVID-19. And I think that's a fear for a lot of educators, that they will get the virus and maybe somehow spread it to themselves. I mean, to spread it to others who are maybe are at high risk, or maybe they are high risk themselves. So I think that's a concern that I'm seeing from some of the folks that are commenting on this one.
Yeah, and some people not very supportive of teachers who want to continue virtual learning. Richard says these same people go to the grocery store and department stores and expect workers in those jobs.
And Lori saying essential employees just shake their heads and roll their eyes at these types of folks.
Lisa's sticking up for the teachers here, saying how many essential employees sit in a small room full of unmasked kids. And I think it really goes back to having to feel like whether you have a say or don't have a say in maybe a personal health choice. And listen, teachers don't make a lot of money anyway. I mean, people have to work to support their families. And I think a lot of people in many frontline jobs, teachers and many others, feel like they're kind of backs up against the wall.
And just to put it out there, a lot of teachers say virtual learning is 10 times harder than being in the classroom. So they don't just want to stay home in their PJs and instruct. They say that is not a good alternative as well, but they are much willing to do that one instead. We want to hear from you. This story is on the 11Alive Facebook page. Do you think teachers should have the choice to stay home? Let us know.
Up next, another COVID-19 vaccine enters the final stage of trials, but possible new rules from the FDA could throw a wrench into the process.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
We continue to follow protests tonight following the announcement of charges in the Breonna Taylor shooting case. Former Police Sergeant Brett Hankison is accused of shooting blindly into several apartments as officers were serving a no-knock warrant that night. Hankison was fired in June. Today, he was indicted for first-degree wanton endangerment for firing into nearby apartments. No charges were filed against the other two officers. Hankison has already been booked and released from the Shelby County Detention Center, that is in Kentucky. And this is a live look from Sky Tracker in downtown Atlanta, where marchers have taken to the streets. That is where we find Hope Ford reporting live for us tonight. Hope.
Yeah, you see this large group out here right now that are marching. They are marching probably for about the past hour or so now. They started in Woodruff Park. They marched around the downtown area, just passed through Centennial, Olympic Park as well, and now they are still marching here tonight. It's kind of grown in the last probably, I would say 30 minutes or so. From now there's probably about 200, 250 people who are marching downtown right now. A lot of chanting going on, obviously. A lot of people out here have Breonna Taylor signs. They're chanting her name. They're really keeping the message focused on that tonight. And as they continue to march and chant, they stop every once in a while and just remind people, hey, stay together. Make sure you're not paying attention to anyone who might want to antagonize anyone out here, who might want to, keep your eye out for anyone who might want to come into the crowd and want to start trouble. They really just want to march and just continue chanting down here tonight. So that's what we've been seeing. Talked to quite a few of the protesters. A lot of black women out here saying that they were personally, they felt very, very deeply hurt whenever they heard the news earlier about the Breonna Taylor decision. So that was a lot of the message that I heard from a lot of the young black women that are out here tonight. And also a lot of people talking about, it's fine to protest, but we also need to vote. So there was a lot of talk about voting out here tonight as well. But this is, as you can see, this is what's been going on. Again, probably for the past hour right now, continuing to march here. And they are continuing to, right now we're at the corner of Peachtree Street. I'm not sure what the cross street is there, but they're coming to that stop again. Again, since they've been marching for the last hour, they do take a break every 15 minutes just to let everyone kind of regroup at that moment.
All right, Hope Ford reporting for us. We will be checking in with Hope throughout the evening. A lot of flags representing a fraction of the number of lives lost due to COVID-19. 20,000 flags have been placed on the northeast quadrant of the Washington Monument facing the White House. They are a bleak reminder of the more than 200,000 Americans who have died from the virus since March. More than 6,700 people in Georgia are among the death count in the United States. And today, the Department of Public Health reporting another 96 deaths. Our numbers started decreasing at the beginning of the month, but over the course of the past week, reports of deaths now are steadily rising. After a low number yesterday, there are 1,400 new COVID-19 cases today, and it still is below the current average, that is the dotted line. Cases continue to trend downward in Georgia, which is a positive sign. Doctors say risk is heightened because the fall and winter months mean that people will be spending more time indoors, where the virus can spread more easily. We are also about to enter flu season. Experts warn the combination of the two could again overload hospitals.
Dr. Anthony Fauci predicts a COVID-19 vaccine could be ready reasonably soon, but reasonably could still be into next year. Several potential vaccines are in the final phase of trials right now. The most recent is a vaccine from Johnson & Johnson. It plans to test a single-dose vaccine in up to 60,000 adults, but the Washington Post reports the FDA could be announcing stricter standards for approving emergency vaccine use. That includes identifying at least 5 severe cases of COVID-19 in placebo groups to know the vaccine is working, and following participants in stage 3 trials for at least 2 months. This all comes at a time when trust in a new vaccine is lower than ever. Back in May, the Pew Research Center found 72% of American adults said they would probably or definitely get the vaccine. But that number has plummeted to around 50%. Experts say when a vaccine is ready, trust will be crucial.
How important is it that there is public faith in the scientific process to get to a vaccine?
It's absolutely crucial. People need to understand that the safety measures have been followed, the real results are in, and that we're not doing an experiment on our population.
With that polling in mind, we want to continue to pull back the curtain and let you know how the vaccine approval process works. So here is a quick breakdown.
Each vaccine must go through 3 phases before being approved. The first involves 20 to 100 healthy volunteers. Researchers here are looking for some basic things. Does the vaccine work? Is it safe? Are there serious side effects? And does the dosage affect those side effects? The second phase involves several hundred volunteers. Here, researchers are looking for the most common short-term side effects and how the volunteers' immune systems seem to be responding. The third phase requires hundreds or thousands of volunteers. This is where researchers are looking for how people who get the vaccine compare to those who do not. And again, is the vaccine safe, effective, and what are the most common side effects? The only way a vaccine gets approved is if it's safe and effective, and if the benefits outweigh the risks.
All right, let's talk more about what health officials call a twindemic, a combination of COVID and flu. We have gotten a lot of questions about it. We took them to 11Alive medical correspondent Dr. Sujatha Reddy. The first question is, how do you tell the difference between symptoms of COVID against the flu?
The symptoms of flu and coronavirus are going to be actually pretty similar. One thing that's unique about corona or COVID-19 is that there can be a loss of taste and or a loss of smell. Most people, when they have a cold or a flu, do not completely lose their sense of smell or their sense of taste.
We have heard warnings about the colder months because people spend more time inside. One person asked if these things can actually hurt your immune system.
Being in the cold and being indoors should not affect your immune system. Everyone's immune system is really dependent on their physical well-being. The things that we can recommend to try to maximize how strong your immune system is, you're going to be being healthy. So you're going to try to sleep well, exercise, be active, eat a proper healthy diet, try to limit alcohol and caffeine. Those kind of things can only boost your immune system, but contrary to what our mothers told us, being out in the cold is not going to make you sick. We know the virus is less transmitted in wide open spaces, and the fact that all of us are indoors in the winter is why we typically call winter cold and flu season. When you're indoors, you're closer to people, and that is how you contract viruses that are transmitted person to person, like colds, like the flu, like COVID-19. So being indoors can increase your risk just because you tend to be in closer proximity to people than you would be if you were outdoors, let's say in a backyard or in a park.
Finally, one more question from one of our viewers. Is the pandemic going to have an effect on where and how you get your flu shot?
Getting your flu vaccine is going to be very important this year. I was able to get mine at my office at the hospital because they offer it to all employees. And I know a lot of workplaces do that for employees. But if you're working from home, that may be different for you. It is very reasonable and safe to get your vaccine at pharmacies, at drugstores, or at a healthcare provider's office. I know my family got their vaccines at Kroger and CVS. So those are safe places to go to get your flu vaccine.
And if you have any more questions for Dr. Reddy, text them to us at the number on your screen, and we will work to get you some answers.
An unexpected consequence of the pandemic, fentanyl-based overdoses have risen dramatically after the state worked hard to decrease them over the last few years. Tracy A. McPeer is taking a closer look at new resources offering help.
So we've come a long way in Georgia since I stepped out of that crack house on October the 12th of 1994.
But 25 years after William Moyers started his recovery, he says we still have a long way to go. So he helped work to bring Hazelden Betty Ford and Emory Healthcare together for a new addiction resource called the Addiction Alliance of Georgia. Emory psychiatrist Dr. Justine Welsh says now it's more important than ever during this pandemic.
So I'm seeing an escalation in alcohol use, cannabis, opioids, and stimulants like methamphetamine and cocaine.
Overdoses are up too. In fact, ER visits from overdoses from December to April of this year were up 17%. And that just tracks the first few months of the pandemic.
And we expect those numbers to continue to go up.
Welsh says the Addiction Alliance of Georgia aims to fill in the gaps to support as many Georgians as they can.
Addiction is an illness that doesn't discriminate, and recovery shouldn't discriminate either.
Increasing clinical services, research, and education, even developing programs for school-aged children to teach them about addiction and decrease the stigma of getting help.
There weren't the resources that this alliance will provide, not just to people with insurance, not just to people with jobs, but for all people who need and deserve hope, help, and healing.
Over the next year, they'll be expanding the outpatient services at Emory. Then, over the next few years, they'll be developing a freestanding detox unit and residential program. To find out more information on what the Addiction Alliance of Georgia will provide, you can go to the As Seen on TV section of the 11Alive app.
Coming up next, even as thousands mourn Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death, lawmakers on Capitol Hill fighting over the process to fill her seat on the court. We'll have more on that coming up next.
Well, after a very active couple of weeks in the tropics, believe it or not, we don't have any active tropical systems in the Atlantic whatsoever. We have remnants of Teddy buffering the Canadian Maritimes, and we're also watching remnants of Beta heading in our direction. So coming up, what that's going to mean for our forecast the next few days.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear, on 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
Mourners flooded the U.S. Supreme Court today to pay their respects to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. At the same time, lawmakers continue to battle over the confirmation process that may fill her seat in the 41 days between now and Election Day. Here's NBC's Alice Barr.
For Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a final return to the Supreme Court today. Her former clerks carrying her casket up the steps to the court she helped shape for 27 years in a career guided by lifting others to equal ground.
The work that she's done is monumental, it's iconic, it's changed the lives of millions of women.
Justice Ginsburg was a trailblazer for women's rights, winning a string of landmark Supreme Court cases with the ACLU before earning her own seat on the bench under President Clinton. Today, her family and fellow justices remembering her in a private ceremony inside the High Court that Chief Justice John Roberts called her home.
It has been said that Ruth wanted to be an opera virtuoso, but became a rock star instead. Among the words that best describe Ruth, tough, brave, a fighter, a winner, but also thoughtful, careful, compassionate, honest.
Outside, a sea of mourners inspired by her legacy.
RBG represents humanity, a woman that loved, that stood for what she believed in spite of everything.
She's the reason I want to go to law school, and she's the reason that I want to continue this fight.
President Trump will come pay his respects to the late justice tomorrow before announcing his pick to replace her on Saturday. A contentious battle ahead, but today belongs to an icon who sought to unite in the fight for justice.
Here at 11Alive Storm Trackers watching what is left of Beta, now post-tropical storm Beta, moving to the east, bringing in a little bit of moisture across northwest Georgia tonight and increasing our cloud cover throughout the day today. You may have noticed some of the incredible clouds we saw. One of our 11Alive Storm Trackers, Brittany Dawson in Hickory Flat, capturing this spectacular picture earlier today of some mackerel clouds in the sky. Really beautiful and dramatic looking pictures. And we're going to continue to see the moisture levels increase overnight. So the humidity is going up, the clouds are thickening up, and we'll start to see a few of these showers making it all the way to the ground. But for the most part, this rain across North Georgia right now from Rome into Calhoun and Ellijay that's showing up on the radar over into Blue Ridge really hasn't amounted to much so far. The atmosphere still hasn't gotten completely saturated yet, so it's very light rain that we've had here in Blue Ridge so far tonight, but the streets are wet. So grab your umbrella tomorrow, especially if you're going to be out later in the day and into the evening hours, as we'll see this rain becoming more widespread and heavier as we head into tomorrow night. So you can see right now the heaviest of the rain and the storms here in southwestern Mississippi and parts of eastern Louisiana. That's where they have a tornado watch that's in place until 10 o'clock. So we'll be watching the possibility of a few strong storms as this moves through, but right now we're not expecting any organized severe at this point. Temperatures this morning were not nearly as cool. We were in the mid-50s in Dalton and Canton. We were in the low 60s in Atlanta today, and for our low temperature, and for our high temperature, we were in the upper 70s in Athens and Atlanta and Peachtree City and in Rome. Rome almost hit 80 degrees. So temperatures back up close to where they should be this time of year. And overnight tonight, milder as that blanket of clouds moves in, insulates in the warmth just like a blanket on your bed. It'll keep our temperatures a little bit warmer tonight. We should be in the low 60s, Plenty of clouds out there, and the rain increasing throughout the day tomorrow. So the rain chance is going up hour by hour, with the best chance for thunderstorms later in the evening. That's what we'll be tracking as we head through our Thursday. So we do have a chance for general thunderstorms, but the best chance for severe weather in our area is going to be west of our border into Alabama, where they have a marginal chance, a level 1 chance out of 5 levels. So just isolated stuff in Alabama, but we'll have to watch that carefully as it moves into West Georgia. Maybe some of those severe storms could hold together a bit. So we'll watch that carefully for you. And as we head into tomorrow, those clouds will be widespread. Few showers popping up. This is 1 o'clock, so right around lunchtime from LaGrange into Carrollton into Rome, we'll start seeing those first downpours. And then throughout the evening, that rain becoming heavier and more widespread, with that main line, it looks like moving into far northwest Georgia as we head into the midnight hour. So early morning hours into Friday as well, we could see some heavy downpours with that as it moves on through. And that'll continue to be with us throughout the day on our Friday too, with some scattered showers around with some isolated heavy downpours. So overall, the rainfall amounts we think in the Atlanta area, probably between around 1/2 inch and 1 inch, but across far northwest Georgia, that's where they could end up seeing 2, 3, maybe even close to 4 inches as that main line moves through late tomorrow night and into early Friday. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast. A 50% chance on your Thursday, 60% chance as we head into overnight Thursday and into Friday. That's when it should be at its heaviest. Scattered showers in the afternoon and evening on Friday, and just a 20% chance for your weekend. We should be mostly dry. 30% chance at the beginning of next week with very mild temperatures, warm-ish. And then it looks like a big cool down in the 60s by the end of next week.
With 2 weeks until early voting beginning in the battleground state of Arizona, Joe Biden is earning an endorsement from the widow of the late Republican Senator John McCain. Cindy McCain formally announced her support for the Democratic nominee overnight. And it has been a battle between the Trumps and the McCains for many years. It also follows a recent report from The Atlantic alleging the president made disparaging remarks about Senator McCain as well as fallen American soldiers. Here's NBC's Kelly O'Donnell.
Taking her own place in the heated political arena, Cindy McCain breaking with the Republican Party to endorse Democrat Joe Biden for president. On Twitter, McCain writes, "My husband John lived by a code, country first. We are Republicans, yes, but Americans foremost. There's only one candidate in this race who stands up for our values as a nation, and that is Joe Biden."
Why we're very confident.
The longtime political spouse, philanthropist, and business owner lost her husband, Senator John McCain, to brain cancer 2 years ago and kept out of the hostile side of politics.
John's advice to me all along was, don't listen to any of them. You're going to get mad, so don't listen to any of it. And I don't.
Her decision to embrace Biden comes after the very public,
I never got along with John McCain.
Unrelenting.
No, I was not a fan of John McCain.
Attacks from President Trump.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay?
A fury that did not end with McCain's passing.
John McCain killed health care for the Republican Party, and he killed health care for the nation.
Senator McCain defied and criticized the president. He delivered a fateful thumbs down against the repeal of Obamacare. Now their bitter history gets a new chapter heading into the election. Last month, Cindy McCain took part in a film at the Democratic National Convention, recounting her husband's long friendship with Biden.
It was a friendship that shouldn't have worked. When millions of Americans were faced with losing their health insurance, it was Joe's friend who saved Obamacare by crossing the aisle.
Arizona is John McCain's home, of course, and it was his political base. And it is one of the most contested battleground states in the presidential election. The Trump campaign responded to that endorsement, saying that Mrs. McCain did not support Donald Trump in 2016, either and now that he is president after the election last time around. All right. Does that make sense? As I stumble through that, sort of. A capsized cargo ship causing a mess in the St. Simons Sound near one of Georgia's busiest ports. 1 year later, we are finally getting a better picture of what happened.
Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick.
A Coast Guard investigation has figured out what caused a cargo ship to capsize off the coast of Georgia last year, causing a mess at one of the state's busiest ports. It is the busiest port in the state. A U.S. Coast Guard naval architect testified Tuesday that the Golden Ray overturned due to unstable loading. Investigators found that the ship's ballast tanks were not filled enough to offset the weight of 4,200 vehicles in the cargo decks above, leaving the ship's center of gravity too high. The Golden Ray overturned after leaving Georgia on September 8th. 4 crew members had to be rescued. The ship spilled 320,000 gallons of oil into St. Simons Sound, raising great concerns from environmental advocacy groups. Ahead on Primetime, we're already seeing protests after only one officer was charged in the Breonna Taylor case. We'll have reaction coming up next.
And its biggest trials and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Testing our wastewater for COVID-19, the latest recommendation from the White House Coronavirus Task Force report on Georgia. The level of COVID in the city's wastewater can predict the level of infections that will show up in that city a week or more later. Our John Sherrick spoke with a UGA researcher to explain.
It turns out that UGA research is confirming what other states are finding, that COVID in a wastewater system can be an early warning for communities.
In Athens, in June, when the bars reopened, UGA researchers decided to check the community's wastewater and found that the levels of COVID in the wastewater were increasing. Then later, sure enough, people started showing symptoms as individual testing measured higher numbers of infections. When Athens mandated masks for everyone, the UGA researchers detected lower levels of COVID in the community's wastewater, and those lower levels accurately predicted the decrease in infections that would follow. Dr. Aaron Lipp of UGA's College of Public Health's Environmental Health Science Department is leading the research.
What we know about the virus so far is that it seems to be shed in feces early on in the infection. So often when people are asymptomatic, we see that the wastewater trends usually pick up the cases about 7 days before we see them in the case reports.
More and more states are testing community wastewater to get early warnings about potential COVID surges. At the University of Arizona, higher COVID levels showed up in a dorm's wastewater. So every student in the dorm got tested. 2 of the students were positive, and the university believes that that headed off a campus-wide outbreak.
So it can give a local health department a heads up when it looks like there may be a cluster or an outbreak that might be coming. It may be a way to direct resources.
Dr. Lipp and her team at UGA are working with local health departments. The goal is to expand wastewater testing to more communities.
11Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
Anger, frustration, disbelief tonight. Protesters taking to the streets in cities all across the country after a grand jury in Louisville, Kentucky, charged one officer in the Breonna Taylor case, but not in direct relation to her death. The former police sergeant Brett Hankinson is accused of shooting blindly into several apartments as officers were serving a no-knock warrant that night. Now, Hankinson was fired in June and today was indicted for first-degree wanton endangerment for firing into nearby apartments.
No charges were filed against the other 2 officers. Hankinson has already been booked and released from the Shelby County Detention Center there in Louisville, Kentucky. And this is a look from SkyTracker here in downtown Atlanta earlier tonight, where marches have taken to the streets, and that is where we find our Hope Ford reporting live for us tonight on the ground. Hope.
Yeah, that's right. Right now we are actually outside of the Capitol. So the group has grown a little bit. They've been marching for really over an hour. They started at Woodruff Park and made it down here. They marched around downtown for a little while. They made it back to Woodruff Park and then made it up here to the Capitol. Now, just a few minutes ago, something was fired into the crowd. It wasn't tear gas, and it didn't appear to be a rubber bullet. But whatever it was, it did cause people to run. One young lady did end up falling and getting hurt, and several people were mentioning that they tasted a peppery taste afterwards. So that was just a few minutes ago, and that kind of backed up the crowd a little bit. But now they are continuing to chant. That's really been the only thing other than chanting and marching that has happened here tonight. Again, they made it down here to the Capitol probably about 15-20 minutes ago, and they've continued to chant and to stand here right now. Some of them are playing music. You see there are some armed who are also who have been marching with this group. We've seen them at many protests over the last couple of months. They always kind of come out here at the same time. And so this is what's been happening after that, whatever was fired into the crowd, after that kind of shook up some people. And again, one person did get hurt, but medics were out here to help them. Once that happened, they all kind of continue to get back to this area right here and continue to chant here tonight. And a lot of them all night have been talking specifically about Breonna Taylor. Of course, a lot of black women out here saying that they felt extremely hurt whenever they heard the news of the Breonna Taylor decision. And then a lot of people out here have also talked about voting and the other things that they can do besides just protesting. So this is what they're doing right now. They haven't said whether or not they're going to move on from this area anytime soon. But of course, we will keep you updated with what's happening throughout the night.
All right, Hope Ford live on the ground for us tonight, downtown Atlanta. Also here in Atlanta earlier tonight, protesters gathered around Johnson Park chanting, "Say her name." Some protesters who we spoke with said they don't believe the Kentucky Attorney General did the right thing. Local Attorney Gerald Griggs organized the gathering and march there.
We've been marching for a while, and we've been demanding change, and change has been slow. It's happened, but it's slow, and I think our elected officials just don't understand how resolute we are. This is a new movement, it's a new generation, and we won't give up. But we want them to understand that we are tired of having to have the same conversation with them over and over and over again.
Louisville's mayor has already announced the state of emergency and put a citywide curfew into place that just went into effect at the top of the hour at 9 p.m.
Meanwhile, the city's police chief says that the National Guard has been activated and access to many downtown areas are now restricted. Now, this all comes in the wake of today's long-awaited grand jury decision in the death of Breonna Taylor. The 26-year-old EMT was fatally shot by police when they executed a drug raid in her Louisville apartment in March. No drugs were found at that home. And the former officer who was indicted, Breonna Taylor, has already been booked and released from the Shelby County, Kentucky Detention Center on $15,000 bond. Now, we have team coverage for you tonight, folks, beginning with Jennifer Bellamy with details on the grand jury's decision and what comes next.
Breonna Taylor was shot multiple times when officers entered her apartment as part of a narcotics investigation, but no drugs were found in the home. Today, the grand jury indicted former Sergeant Breonna Taylor, who was fired in June following Taylor's death. He's now charged with 3 counts of wanton endangerment. But the charge isn't for specifically shooting Taylor. It's for firing 10 shots blindly into her home during the execution of that raid and risking the lives of others in nearby apartments. He could face up to 5 years for each count. The judge set bail at $15,000 cash. The Kentucky Attorney General will now move forward with the case. The 2 other officers involved, Miles Cosgrove and Jonathan Mattingly, were not indicted. During a news conference, the Kentucky Attorney General said an FBI analysis found Cosgrove fired the fatal shot that killed Taylor. But he also said his office's investigation found Cosgrove and Mattingly were justified in the shooting because they were being fired upon by Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker.
According to Kentucky law, the use of force by Mattingly and Cosgrove was justified to protect themselves. This justification bars us from pursuing criminal charges in Miss Breonna Taylor's death.
Walker fired 1 shot at the front door, hitting Officer Mattingly in the leg, saying he thought it was a home invasion. The charges against him were dropped.
Now, Taylor's family had called for the officers involved to face some charges of second-degree manslaughter. Taylor's sister tweeting this afternoon that the grand jury failed her sister. She shared a photograph
of her and Breonna, saying she's at a loss of what to do now. And we're also hearing from the family's representatives. They said it's outrageous and offensive that no charges stemmed from Taylor's death and that her boyfriend should not be cast as one at fault.
You can't blame Breonna Taylor's boyfriend for firing first. They tried to burst into his apartment as they were sleeping. He had every right as a homeowner to defend himself from anyone trying to break in his apartment, and certainly him firing first is no excuse, no justification for the police firing into the home of Breonna Taylor and killing her as she slept to death.
The city of Louisville reached a $12 million settlement in the wrongful death complaint. Now, it's the largest settlement in the city's history and also came with the promise of police reforms.
Breonna Taylor's image and name were part of Atlanta protests over the summer. 11Alive's Doug Richards has been getting local reaction to today's decision.
Atlanta activist Teos Wynn looks at the indictment in Louisville and sees an opportunity missed by the Kentucky grand jury.
I share in the sentiments of disappointment.
Wynn says it's impossible to justify as self-defense the police killing of Breonna Taylor. He says the absence of a stronger indictment will likely renew the anger of activists in Atlanta and around the country.
In terms of protests, in terms of people voicing that really the pain and frustration after months and months of seeking justice to now have the result that was given today, I think that it will be widely expressed throughout the country.
But the lack of a manslaughter or murder indictment in the Breonna Taylor case follows the law, argues Snellville attorney Mike Pugliese. He's a former Gwinnett County cop who represented Clayton County Sheriff Victor Hill when Hill faced a grand jury in a shooting case in 2015.
They were serving a warrant and they're being shot at. And I think all the evidence that was provided by the witnesses was that shots were fired first by Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. With that being said, these officers had every right to defend themselves and return fire.
Pugliese and Wynn agree that the Breonna Taylor case presents an opportunity for local police departments to reform their warrant-serving procedures, among other things.
We will continue following this story for you throughout the evening on air and online. You can check 11alive.com for updates. And if you haven't already, download the 11Alive app to get alerts on any breaking developments.
And I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11Alive Storm Trackers. We're tracking a little bit of rain, and I'm talking right now to more than 200 people on Facebook Live. Many of those folks on Facebook Live are confirming what we're seeing here. Now, this is really tricky on radar right now, where you see a lot of green over North Georgia and Northwest Georgia. Not all of this is hitting the ground, but some of it is, and it's mainly light rain that's coming down right now, and our atmosphere is getting more moist now, where it's been really dry in the lower levels, so any rain up there that was falling down would evaporate. But now some of those raindrops are able to make it down to the ground, but it is mainly just light rain. And a lot of this moisture is in association with what is left of beta. This is what's left of it. It's a post-tropical system right now. There's the center of circulation that is moving out of Louisiana and into Mississippi. Really heavy rain storms here, and even a tornado watch is in effect south of the Jacksonville area. We're going to watch the area of low pressure move through Mississippi and Alabama and up into Tennessee. I think it'll keep the storms away from us, but we will have a better chance for rain. Some of that in North Georgia now. More showers developing later in the day tomorrow. Let me show you what we're watching. This is a look at that storm risk. If you're worried about severe weather moving our way tonight, it's not going to be here tonight. It's mainly going to be down to our south. Tomorrow, as that low tracks this way through Mississippi, North Alabama, and up into Tennessee, there will be a marginal risk or level 1 of 5 risk for strong storms in Alabama, Mississippi. It stops right here as you move into Georgia, and then into Friday, just general showers and maybe a couple of thunderstorms around, but we're really not expecting anything severe out of this. So that's the good news out of it. Stay with us. We'll let you know whether or not this rain is going to get out of here in time for your weekend.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. A former UGA football player says he left Athens and transferred to Ole Miss earlier this year because of racism during his time at UGA. 11Alive's Joe Hinkey has the latest on claims from Otis Reese.
Otis Reese posted a long statement on Twitter last night where he said his time at UGA took a devastating mental toll on him, and specific events led to him leaving Athens. After 2 seasons of football with the Bulldogs, Otis Reese transferred earlier this year to Ole Miss. On Tuesday, he tweeted his reasons for leaving UGA, pointing to a white student athlete calling one of his friends and teammates the N-word, and a group of white classmates mocking slavery and pretending to whip each other. A UGA statement in response reads, UGA disputes any suggestion that it maintains an unsafe, unsupportive, or racially insensitive environment. Reese claims while at UGA he cannot speak up out of fear it would impact his spot on the team. He also described 2 encounters with what he called extremely aggressive police while in Athens, where he was accused of using drugs and written citations. 11Alive contacted Athens Clark County Police for any information or records of police incidents involving Reese, but so far has not heard back. Reese is currently not eligible to play football for Ole Miss this season, as the NCAA and SEC have not approved a necessary transfer waiver. In his statement, Reese claims UGA is objecting to his waiver. UGA writes, "We cannot comment on student-athlete eligibility matters due to federal privacy laws, but we would be happy to share our full response to Otis Reese's waiver request if he provided a signed release allowing us to do so." 11Alive UGA insider Roddy Nabolsi says SEC bylaws requiring interconference transfers to sit out a year is most likely holding up Reese from playing.
I do think it was interesting that Georgia said, look, if you want to let us out of the non-disclosure agreement, we can shed light on this situation. And I don't think they would have done that if they were really trying to hide a lot.
And we attempted to contact Reese directly today, as well as other black former UGA football players, to talk about their time and experience in Athens, but so far we have not heard back.
We are streaming for you right now on the 11Alive YouTube channel. You can catch us there. While you're hanging with us in that environment online, subscribe and join the conversation in the community section. More 11Alive news in prime time coming up after the break.
Our everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today. A major move in the city of South Fulton to ease tension between neighbors and police. New legislation makes it mandatory for police officers to get tested for drugs if they kill or disfigure anyone while on the job. 11Alive's Brittany Klein-Peter talked with a local activist who supports the mandate.
To heal the wounds between police and the community, we must have full transparency.
A big change coming to the city of South Fulton. Leaders announced Wednesday that police officers who shoot and kill or disfigure anyone while working will be tested for drugs. The city council voted unanimously to pass the legislation on Tuesday. Supporters say they want to make something very clear. This is not an attack on police.
This is not a got you moment to law enforcement. This isn't about a person's guilt or innocence, the victim or the officer. This is an opportunity for the city of South Fulton and their police department to confidently stand behind an officer saying that that officer operated and acted of sound mind and body.
Council members say the city of South Fulton is the first in the nation to adopt this legislation. It will force both police and victims to be tested for drugs in cases of use of force, property damage, and even car crashes.
Very proud today to be able to get this legislation passed and unanimously, and just the implications that it will have.
We're all in this together, and together we can resolve social justice issues and any arrests that may come about due to social justice issues.
Just last month, the city of South Fulton held meetings to discuss the challenges of policing. The organizers tell me that this new legislation stemmed from feedback from that discussion.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11Alive Storm Tracker, still talking with about 150 people on Facebook Live right now. Many of them reporting that they're seeing some light rain in North Georgia. Many of them are asking when we're going to get the bulk of the rain moving through our area. So I'm going to break that all down for you right now. And we're dry in Atlanta, but we have clouds moving in. And as I mentioned earlier, not all of this that you see in North Georgia is hitting the ground. We do have some of these raindrops that are hitting the ground there, but the air at the surface still pretty dry. Some of this is evaporating. Some of it is beginning now to make it down to the ground. We are seeing some of that up around Blue Ridge. Also these darker greens over in parts of Walker County, also into parts of Gordon County as well, and into Whitfield County. Floyd County may be seeing a little bit of that coming down now. I just checked the Rome Tower Cam though, and the roads are still dry in Rome, but I'm thinking some of those drops may be coming down now. And as we mentioned, this is in association with what is left of beta. And you can see a lot of this moisture streaming in from Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, and then there's the center of circulation right here coming out of Louisiana into Mississippi. We have some strong storms. There's a tornado watch in the southwestern parts of Mississippi. The actual low is going to track up through Mississippi, North Alabama, and into Tennessee, and it'll be close enough to us to bring us some of this moisture in the form of rain, but we're not really concerned about a severe weather threat. Let me show you what's happening out there right now. I mentioned the Blue Ridge area. This is a live look. Now, as you can see, it's not heavy rain in Blue Ridge, but the roads are damp from some of the light rain that has been coming down. And if you'll hold on just a second, I want to show you too. I mentioned Rome just a second ago. I'm going to click this live to the Rome cam. See, the roads still look dry there, even though radar was showing a good bit of green over that area just a few minutes ago. But again, as I mentioned, not all of that is making it to the ground. So here's what we're watching out there right now. You can see temperatures are in the lower 70s. We got up to 77 for a high today. We're still in the lower 70s here. Most places outside the city have dropped into the 60s, except for LaGrange and Thomaston. You're still at 70 degrees. Watch what happens the next 12 hours. Temperatures with the cloud cover, they're not going to be falling a lot. It'll be nice and comfortable into the lower to even some mid 60s, but with that cloud cover and the moisture coming in here, we'll be at about 61 here in Atlanta, and then we get up to 75 in the afternoon tomorrow. On our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day, we're just going to go with a 5, as we're going to see more clouds around and some of those scattered showers that'll be moving our way. Here's the timeline of what we're watching with the forecast track. In the morning, mostly cloudy skies. We're watching some of these showers that are going to be increasing, moving in for around the lunchtime hour, but not heavy rain, not a washout. And then in the afternoon, better chances for rain in northwest Georgia, scattered showers here in Atlanta, and then still that heavier rain in northwest Georgia at 10 o'clock at night, and then more showers early on Friday. And then those kind of start to taper off as we go through the latter part of the day on Friday. Even in the evening Friday, we may even see some breaks in the clouds moving our way as that rain begins to taper off somewhat. So here's what we're watching in the 7-day outlook. 75 degrees for a high tomorrow, 50% chance for showers, 60% chance on Friday, and that's mainly earlier in the day before things start to taper off. And then on Saturday, only a 20% chance for a shower. I really think a lot of us will be dry Saturday and Sunday, but it's going to be warmer. Temperatures up to about 82 degrees. A 30% chance for showers Monday, 20% Tuesday with a high still in the lower 80s. We do see some cooler air coming in after a quick moving front moves through on Wednesday. That drops us to 75 degrees for a high temperature on Wednesday, still with that 20% chance for a shower.
Tensions are rising as more Metro Atlanta students return to the classroom. Next on Alive at 5, the debate over teachers and how much say they should have in the process.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both? Both.
Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
The debate surrounding whether kids should go back to school is getting more intense as more schools return to in-person learning. We want to show you what it looked like at the Central District Office of Decatur. A group of teachers protested there. They protested Decatur's school's reopening plan. The district says all teachers are expected to return to the classroom on October 12th. That will kick off a phased-in reopening plan for students. 97% of students will phase into the classroom based on their grade, and that start date is November 2nd. Aisha, Jennifer, we've seen this type of tension at a lot of different school districts. Some parents want their students to go back. There are teachers who are frustrated. They just don't feel like they have a choice in the decision that impacts their health and the health of their loved ones as well.
Yeah, Cheryl, this is especially a big problem when we're talking about the new state reports that show schools are fueling new outbreaks. Local schools have had more outbreaks in the last week than the other two leading sources combined. Those are long-term care facilities and workplaces. And so when you compare it to the data, when you're talking about facts, not feelings, then you really have to put this into perspective to say, if this is still happening at this rate in these locations where you're asking people to go into, how can you defend that when the numbers say something totally opposite, J. Bell?
Yeah, and it's interesting because when we hear about these outbreaks at the schools, it's not just about students. We're also hearing about teachers and other staff members that are becoming infected with coronavirus as well. I was looking at some information online, and AARP said that 1 in 4 U.S. teachers are at risk for severe illness when it comes to the spread of COVID-19. And I think that's a fear for a lot of educators, that they will get the virus and maybe somehow spread it to themselves. I mean, to spread it to others who are maybe are at high risk, or maybe they are high risk themselves. So I think that's a concern that I'm seeing from some of the folks that are commenting on this one.
Yeah, and some people not very supportive of teachers who want to continue virtual learning. Richard says these same people go to the grocery store and department stores and expect workers in those jobs.
And Lori saying essential employees just shake their heads and roll their eyes at these types of folks.
Lisa's sticking up for the teachers here, saying how many essential employees sit in a small room full of unmasked kids. And I think
it really goes back to having to feel like whether you have a say or don't have a say in maybe a personal health choice. And listen, teachers don't make a lot of money anyway. I mean, people have to work to support their families, and I think a lot of people in many frontline jobs, teachers and many others, feel like they're kind of backs up against the wall.
And just to put it out there, a lot of teachers say virtual learning is 10 times harder than being in the classroom. So they don't just want to stay home in their PJs and instruct. They say that is not a good alternative as well, but they are much willing to do that one instead.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. The story is on the 11Alive Facebook page. Do you think teachers should have the choice to stay home? Let us know. Up next, another COVID-19 vaccine enters the final stage of trials, but possible new rules from the FDA could throw a wrench into this process.
11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers?
A sea of old glory representing a fraction of the number of lives our country has lost because of COVID-19. 20,000 flags have been placed on the northeast quadrant of the Washington Monument facing the White House. They are a reminder of the more than 200,000 Americans who have died from the virus since March. More than 6,700 people in our state, in Georgia, are among the 200,000 lives lost to COVID-19 in the United States. Today, the Department of Public Health reports another 96 deaths. Our numbers started decreasing at the beginning of the month, but over the course of the past week, reports of deaths are now rising once again. After an extremely low number yesterday, there are 1,400 new COVID-19 cases today. It is still well below the current average. That's the dotted line that you see right there. Cases continue to trend downwards in Georgia, which is a good sign. Now, doctors say risk is heightened because of The fall and winter months mean that people will be spending a lot more time indoors where the virus can spread quickly, more easily. But we're also about to enter the flu season, as you know, and experts warn the combination of the two could overload the hospitals.
Dr. Anthony Fauci predicts the COVID-19 vaccine could be ready reasonably soon, but reasonably could still be into next year. Several potential vaccines are in the final phase of trials right now. The most recent is a vaccine from Johnson & Johnson. It plans to test a single-dose vaccine in up to 60,000 adults, but the Washington Post reports the FDA could be announcing stricter standards for approving emergency vaccine use, including identifying at least 5 severe cases of COVID in placebo groups to know the vaccine is working, and following participants in stage 3 trials for at least 2 months. And this is coming at a time where trust in a new vaccine is lower than ever. All right, so back in May, the Pew Research Center found 72% of American adults said they would probably or definitely get the vaccine. That number has plummeted to around 50%. Experts say when a vaccine is ready, trust will be crucial.
How important is it that there is public faith in the scientific process to get to a vaccine?
It's absolutely crucial. People need to understand that the safety measures have been followed, the real results are in, and that we're not doing an experiment on our population.
With that polling in mind, we want to continue to pull back the curtain and let you know how the vaccine approval process works. So here's a quick breakdown.
Each vaccine must go through 3 phases before being approved. The first involves 20 to 100 healthy volunteers. Researchers here are looking for some basic things. Does the vaccine work? Is it safe? Are there serious side effects? And does the dosage affect those side effects? The second phase involves several hundred volunteers. Here, researchers are looking for the most common short-term side effects and how the volunteers' immune systems seem to be responding. The third phase requires hundreds or thousands of volunteers. This is where researchers are looking for how people who get the vaccine compare to those who do not. And again, is the vaccine safe, effective, and what are the most common side effects? The only way a vaccine gets approved is if it's safe and effective, and if the benefits outweigh the risks.
All right, so let's talk more about what health officials are calling a twindemic. Twindemic. So this is a combination of the coronavirus and flu in the coming months. And we got a lot of questions about it, a lot of folks out there. So we took them directly to 11Alive medical correspondent Dr. Sujatha Reddy. The first question is how to tell the difference between symptoms of COVID-19 versus the flu.
The symptoms of flu and coronavirus are going to be actually pretty similar. One thing that's unique about corona or COVID-19 is that there can be a loss of taste and or a loss of smell. Most people when they have a cold or a flu do not completely lose their sense of smell or their sense of taste.
Now, we've heard warnings about the colder months, right, because people spend a lot more time inside. So one person is asking if these things can actually hurt your immune system.
Being in the cold and being indoors should not affect your immune system. Everyone's immune system is really dependent on their physical well-being. The things that we can recommend to try to maximize how strong your immune system is, you're going to be being healthy. So you're going to try to sleep well, exercise, be active, eat a proper healthy diet, try to limit alcohol and caffeine. Those kind of things can only boost your immune system, but contrary to what our mothers told us, being out in the cold is not going to make you sick. We know the virus is less transmitted in wide open spaces, and the fact that all of us are indoors in the winter is why we typically call winter cold and flu season. When you're indoors, you're closer to people, and that is how you contract viruses that are transmitted person to person, like colds, like the flu, like COVID-19. So being indoors can increase your risk just because you tend to be in closer proximity to people than you would be if you were outdoors, let's say in a backyard or in a park.
Finally, one more top question from one of our viewers out there. Is the pandemic going to have an effect on where and how you get your flu shot?
getting your flu vaccine is going to be very important this year. I was able to get mine at my office at the hospital because they offer it to all employees. And I know a lot of workplaces do that for employees. But if you're working from home, that may be different for you. It is very reasonable and safe to get your vaccine at pharmacies, at drugstores, or at a healthcare provider's office. I know my family got their vaccines at Kroger and CVS. So those are safe places to go to get your flu vaccine.
Okay, so if you have any more questions for Dr. Reddy, text them to us. That's the number on your screen right there. And we will work really hard to get you some answers.
We're still watching some of this moisture over North Georgia. As we mentioned earlier, not all of this is making it to the ground, but there are some spots that are getting a little bit of light rain in far North Georgia. We've confirmed some wet roads up in the Blue Ridge area from our tower cam there. Also over in Murray County, Whitfield County, a little bit of that is making it down to the ground. Rome, still not a lot of rain there. The roads are still looking dry from our tower cam in Rome. But then there's more rain back into Alabama, as well as Mississippi and down into Louisiana as well. And that's where we have the remnants of Beta. It's now just a post-tropical system, and there is still a tornado watch in effect for parts of Louisiana and into Mississippi, and now a tornado warning with that part right here. This is south and west of Jackson, Mississippi. So these storms are capable of producing severe weather. They are doing that right now, but the severe part of this system we don't think is going to make it here to Metro Atlanta. We're just going to see the rain that'll be moving our way. Here's a look in Rome right now. I know it's kind of hard to see because it is dark out there. Roads maybe, that still looks dry. I don't think the sidewalks are wet either, even though radar was showing a lot of green there in northwest Georgia. Just a few raindrops are possible, but not really enough to make the roads and the sidewalks wet. So here's what we're watching, future radar for the rest of the nighttime hours. Most areas are going to be dry. Toward tomorrow morning, we will see a better coverage of that light rain over parts of North Georgia. This is at 4 in the morning, and then a few of these showers approaching our area for the mid-morning hours, and then especially lunchtime and after lunch when more of this rain is going to be moving in. Stay with us. We'll talk about some of the rainfall totals that we're expecting from the remnants of Beta, and we'll let you know if it'll move out just in time for the weekend.
We're following breaking news right now coming just in out of Louisville, Kentucky. Police say at least 2 officers have been shot as protests continue in the city. That is according to our sister station WHAS there in Louisville. The statement from police did not elaborate on the condition of the officers or the circumstances of the shooting, including if it's related directly to the protest. The protest started over a grand jury's decision to not indict police officers on criminal charges directly related to the death of Breonna Taylor. A news conference with more information is expected within the hour. Our sister station there in Louisville has crews on the ground right now, and we will continue to bring you the very latest right here on 11Alive. Well, back to our newscast here in Atlanta. There is an unexpected consequence of the pandemic. Fentanyl-based overdoses have risen dramatically after the state worked so hard to decrease them over the last few years. Tracy A. McPeer is taking a closer look at new resources offering help.
So we've come a long way in Georgia since I stepped out of that crack house on October the 12th of 1994.
But 25 years after William Moyers started his recovery, he says we still have a long way to go. So he helped work to bring Hazelden Betty Ford and Emory Healthcare together for a new addiction resource called the Addiction Alliance of Georgia. Emory psychiatrist Dr. Justine Welsh says now it's more important than ever during this pandemic.
So I'm seeing an escalation in alcohol use, cannabis, opioids, and stimulants like methamphetamine and cocaine.
Overdoses are up too. In fact, ER visits from overdoses from December to April of this year were up 17%. And that just tracks the first few months of the pandemic.
And we expect those numbers to continue to go up.
Welsh says the Addiction Alliance of Georgia aims to fill in the gaps to support as many Georgians as they can.
Addiction is an illness that doesn't discriminate, and recovery shouldn't discriminate either.
Increasing clinical services, research, and education, even developing programs for school-aged children to teach them about addiction and decrease the stigma of getting help.
There weren't the resources that this alliance will provide, not just to people with insurance, not just to people with jobs, but for all people who need and deserve hope, help, and healing.
Over the next year, they'll be expanding the outpatient services at Emory. Then, over the next few years, they'll be developing a freestanding detox unit and residential program. To find out more information on what the Addiction Alliance of Georgia will provide, you can go to the As Seen on TV section of the 11Alive app.
Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team.
Mourners are now flocking to the U.S. Supreme Court to pay their respects to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ginsburg's casket is now at the top of the Supreme Court steps, where she will lie in repose for at least 2 days. More than 100 of Ginsburg's former clerks met her casket while standing on the courthouse steps, and many of them will stand guard as she lie in repose outside the court, and today and tomorrow for the public memorial. Now, earlier today, her family and fellow justices remembered her in a private ceremony inside. Chief Justice John Roberts called the court her home.
It has been said that Ruth wanted to be an opera virtuoso, but became a rock star instead. Among the words that best describe Ruth, tough, brave, a fighter, a winner, but also thoughtful, careful, compassionate, honest.
Justice Ginsburg served on the Supreme Court for nearly 30 years. The second ever female justice. Her legacy as a pioneer of gender equality lives on in those she inspired. NBC's Kristen Welker has more.
Outside the Supreme Court, from these young girls, a unanimous opinion honoring Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Changed her life and ours.
10-year-old Olivia Sangwa began learning about the feminist icon when she was in 3rd grade.
What do you like about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
I really like the fact that she stood up for everybody's rights, men and women. She used her mind to fight for what she believed in.
I don't think she could have a better role model than Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
9-year-old Maeve Sheeler wrote about her in a book report.
Ruth is important because she tried to make women's rights equal. Ruth is strong and tough when things get bad.
Her mother posting it online, now viewed 33,000 times. Ginsburg's appeal spanning generations, from mothers and daughters learning about her to young aspiring jurists donning their own lace collars, and law school students lucky enough to meet her.
It was completely humbling to be in her presence.
Would either of you be where you are today without Justice Ginsburg?
I don't think so.
We'd be in a law school classroom if it weren't for her.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg certainly paved the way by showing that women could reach truly the highest echelon of lawyering. I don't think that the fight is over.
It sounds like the two of you are ready to some extent, pick up the torch and carry it forward.
Absolutely.
It would be an honor to. I would love to.
Yes.
A call to action motivating the next generation.
A quote that she said that has really stuck with me throughout my life is, fight for what you care about, but do it in a way
that will lead others to join you.
Young women and girls now following those words and the footsteps of a trailblazer.
The celebration of Justice Ginsburg's life is far from over. She will continue to lie in repose at the U.S. Supreme Court tonight and tomorrow. Friday, she will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol, the first woman in our country's history to hold that honor. Next week, Justice Ginsburg will be laid to rest next to her late husband at Arlington National Cemetery.
We are dry in Atlanta right now, but we have the clouds that are thickening up, and we're watching some of this moisture in the air now making it to the ground in some spots as the surface is beginning to kind of moisten up a little bit too. It has been really dry, so a lot of these raindrops coming down in North Georgia have been evaporating. Some of them have been making it to the ground, though, in parts of North Georgia. We've been getting confirmation of that there. More rain back in Alabama, mainly light, a little more moderate rain in northwest Alabama. More showers back into Mississippi, and then check this out. This is the center of circulation of what is left of Beta. It has caused a tornado watch here for parts of Louisiana and Mississippi, and there's a tornado warning here south and west of Jackson. Now, we're going to be watching the center of the low that's really going to be moving up through Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. We're not concerned about a severe weather threat for us. I know when you see that tornado watch back in Mississippi, it might make you wonder, uh-oh, are those storms moving toward us? We don't think so. We're going to have rain. We might have some rumbles of thunder and flashes of lightning, but we don't expect severe weather here. The best rain coverage is going to be later in the day tomorrow here for your Thursday afternoon and evening. So here's a live look at what we're watching out there. I mentioned up in Blue Ridge, a little bit of light rain, and here's our tower cam. I've moved it down a little bit so you can see the streets and the reflection of just some of that moisture, some of the light rain that's been coming through here from the street lights. Here comes a car down the street as well. It'll help kind of lighten up the street there for you. You can see that reflection of just some of the water on the roads from the light rain that we've been having up in the Blue Ridge area, but nothing really particularly heavy. Now today was a comfortable day. It actually started warming up a little bit, but we're still below the average. 77 was our high today. The average high for this time of year is 80. Our low this morning was closer to where we should be. We were at 61. We should be around 62 for this time of year. No rain today. And now our surplus just under 15 inches above where we should be in rainfall for the year. So we're watching the remnants of Beta. It's now a post-tropical system, area of low pressure that's going to move up through Mississippi, Alabama, and into Tennessee. But that's going to give us some of that tropical moisture that'll move in, increasing our rain chances. And we're going to see those temperatures getting warmer too as we get into the weekend. We're going to go back to the lower 80s for the weekend and the very beginning of next week before another shot of cool air moves our way. Tomorrow on the Wazometer, we're going to go with a 5. This is our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. We'll start off in the lower 60s again, then get up to 75 in the afternoon, but we will see a good coverage of clouds around. Some of those scattered showers will be developing too, and the better chances for that rain will be later in the day on Thursday. I think we'll be dry in the morning with mostly cloudy skies, and then mid-morning to lunchtime, some of those scattered showers pushing in from the west. In the afternoon, a little better coverage of some of those showers, heavier stuff in northwest Georgia, and even into the evening hours, overnight, and early on Friday. we'll see scattered showers that'll be with us before everything starts tapering off later in the day on Friday. And I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of this rain out of here by the time we get to the weekend. Rain chances down to 20% on Saturday and Sunday. That's after 50% Thursday, 60% on Friday. Temperatures warming up to 82 both Saturday and Sunday, 83 Monday with a low rain chance, and then about a 20% chance for showers Tuesday and 82, and then a 20% chance Wednesday early. Then cooler air returns, 75 for a high Wednesday, and then it looks like it's going to stay cool for the rest of next week after Wednesday.
Countless conventions and trade shows have been canceled due to the pandemic, of course. Atlanta, home to a lot of them. The loss not only hurting the city, but the people putting on the shows, who tell our Caitlin Ross they're struggling to stay afloat.
As the days and weeks went by, we realized every single show was canceled. And in fact, every single show for 2020 has been canceled.
David Whalens made face shields for a while when the shutdown first happened. He helped design social distancing graphics and supported hospitals. But none of that work came close to supporting his trade show business, Exploring Inc.
The face-to-face is just critical. You're talking about thousands of companies and millions of jobs.
He designs interactive sets, does flooring and booth setup for dozens of conventions every year. He says that behind-the-scenes work supports thousands of Atlanta area workers.
The carpenters and welders and installers and designers, architects, engineers. It's really quite astounding the breadth and the width of how many people are affected by this.
Whalens is lobbying Congress to pass a second round of PPP loans or relief for the trade show industry specifically. There's only a week and a half left until Congress goes out on recess, and Whalens worries relief options will be overlooked.
There will be a tremendous amount of companies that won't survive this if they don't see some type of relief in the next few weeks.
He says fallout extends beyond just his industry.
The restaurants won't get filled up without trade shows. The airlines won't get filled up without trade shows going on. And that's the reason we're raising our voice right now. It has to be heard. We need to save this industry.
Congress is negotiating a second relief package, but nothing has been set in stone yet. Whalens is hoping that trade shows are back in business by mid-2021.
On WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during Primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We're going to watch those rain chances increasing tomorrow. I think the first part of the morning hours will be dry, and then mid-morning to lunchtime we'll see some scattered showers moving in. Better coverage of rain late afternoon into evening and then into early Friday before things start tapering off later in the day on Friday. Low rain chances Saturday and Sunday at 20%. But it does warm up to 82 degrees for the weekend. 83 Monday with a 30% chance for a shower. Back to a 20% chance Tuesday with a high of 82. Then cooling off again by the middle and end of next week. High temperatures back to the 70s with another drier end of the week.
You told us those cool days were fake fall.
That's
I definitely
right.
believe you, Chris.
Yep.
Stick around. Primetime rolls on with Jeff Hullinger at 10.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
We begin at 10 o'clock tonight with breaking news. In Louisville, Kentucky, police say at least 2 officers have been shot as protests continue in the city. That's according to our sister station, WHAS in Louisville at this time. The statement from police did not elaborate on the condition of the officers or the circumstances of the shooting, including if it is related to the protests. The protests arose over a grand jury's decision not to indict police officers on criminal charges directly related to Breonna Taylor's death. A news conference with more information is expected in the minutes ahead. And again, we have crews on the ground with our Tegna station in Louisville, and we will have the very latest for you. We will bring it to you on this broadcast. As you know, emotions in Louisville have resonated with people in Atlanta as well, as many began gathering at Woodruff Park downtown about 3 hours ago, and it is still going. 11Alive's Hope Ford begins our team coverage tonight. She is live at the scene in downtown Atlanta. Hope, tell us exactly where you are in downtown.
Yeah, so we are back at the Capitol right now. Earlier tonight, the group they had been marching, around the downtown area through Centennial Olympic Park. They came to the Capitol. They were here for a good bit, and then something was fired into the crowd. It wasn't tear gas. It wasn't a rubber bullet. It might have been a pepper ball, but something was fired into the crowd. We heard two loud pops, and then the crowd kind of started running at that point. A couple of people fell. One young lady got injured. But the crowd stayed here a little bit while after that, and then they left. And then they came back not too long ago. So they've been here back at the Capitol for probably about 30 minutes now. If you kind of look to your left over here, you'll see that National Guard truck out there. And you'll see some of the protesters who are standing around it. Probably about maybe 15 minutes ago, the Guard, they did deploy several cans of tear gas into the crowd right there, and that backed a lot of the people up. The crowd out here was actually a lot larger than it is right now, and so a lot of people did leave after that point and spread out along the Capitol up there. And as you see, there still is a group that is down at that area right there, right now. Yeah, just 1 second. So right now, they are kind of spread out right there. So we are just kind of monitoring what's happening right now.
All right, Hope, how big is that crowd? Can you hear me? You want to guess on how large they are right now?
Probably about, it was up to almost 300 people at one point. Probably right now is maybe half of that, but people have kind of spread out along the Capitol right now, so it's kind of difficult to tell how many people exactly are out here, but it's not as many people as it was a little while ago.
Is your sense that police are now beginning to shepherd them, maybe bringing them together to try to bring this to an end, or will they, at least in your estimation, continue to let them move freely around downtown Atlanta?
You broke up a little bit on that, Jeff. If I think I heard you correctly, are you asking if the crowd is coming together to leave this area, or if they're headed back downtown? Right now, they're kind of just hanging out in this area. Again, they've kind of spread out. Some are by the front gates of the Capitol, and some are on the side over there. But it looks like they're going to hang out here for a little while. All right.
Hope Ford, near the state capitol tonight. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you a little bit later in this broadcast, and then of course on our broadcast at 11 o'clock on 11Alive in about 57 minutes. Continuing now our team coverage tonight, 11Alive Shanu Her was at a protest earlier this evening. He is live now in downtown Atlanta. Before I say you're in downtown Atlanta, I see where you are. You're at Atlantic Station right now in that area. Give us an update on what you've seen tonight and your observations, if you would, Shanu.
Well, Jeff, no doubt lots of frustration today in Atlanta from protesters because of that decision by the Kentucky grand jury. And just shortly after that decision came down, these groups were already organizing protests in Atlanta here. And they're saying they're not only frustrated because of the decision here in the Breonna Taylor case, they also want to bring attention back to the George Floyd case, as well as Rayshard Brooks.
Say her name!
Her name has become a rallying cry in the fight against police brutality and racial injustice across the country. 6 months after Breonna Taylor was shot and killed, protesters in Atlanta were emotional about the Kentucky grand jury's decision in the case. It didn't charge 3 Louisville police officers for her death and only charged 1 former officer with an unrelated charge of wanton endangerment.
The Attorney General did not proceed with the
appropriate charges. I think all officers involved should have been charged with at least manslaughter.
Civil rights attorney Gerald Griggs helped others organize a rally Wednesday evening in Southwest Atlanta. He was frustrated, speaking to elected officials about what they say is an ongoing issue.
But we want them to understand that we are tired of having to have the same conversation with them over and over and over again.
We have justice issues within this state and within this city alone.
Reverend Jared Sawyer Jr. and Griggs say they've protested in Louisville recently, and because they felt the injustice in Atlanta as well, from the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick back in February to the police killing of Rayshard Brooks in June in Southeast Atlanta.
You just feel a little landlocked, as though you just can't get past where we are right now so that we can truly experience that justice and equity.
Justice and equity, this group says they'll never stop fighting for. And this group says the fight for justice doesn't stop with Breonna Taylor. They also now want to put pressure on Georgia's Attorney General Chris Carr to get justice for Rayshard Brooks and Ahmaud Arbery.
Shinu Her reporting for us near Atlantic Station. Thank you. And now attorneys in the area in Atlanta and across the country are questioning what went into this case in order to end up with the outcome that we have heard about hours before. Here's John Schierick giving us the very latest.
Even the special prosecutor, Kentucky Attorney General David Cameron, was fighting back tears over the outcome of this grand jury investigation. Cameron insisting he did everything he could to provide every bit of evidence to the grand jury for possible indictments of all the officers involved for Breonna Taylor and her family.
I understand that as a black man, how painful this is. My heart breaks for the loss of Miss Taylor.
Cameron insists the hard evidence that he had was not enough to take all of the officers to trial on manslaughter-type charges. Atlanta attorney Keith Lamar, who is a former Fulton County prosecutor, says he has seen prosecutors get indictments from grand juries with even less hard evidence than the Breonna Taylor case has.
It's a tough case. I'm not saying it would have been an easy case for the prosecutor, but at the end of the day, I felt the prosecutor had a duty to at least try to get, those charges for the victim in this case.
And why were the officers even at Breonna Taylor's apartment back in March in the first place? Looking for an ex-boyfriend using a no-knock warrant. Former police officer and prosecutor Bill McKinney of Atlanta believes that the other detectives in the case who obtained the warrant should be investigated for putting the officers on the scene and Breonna Taylor and others at risk.
They didn't have sufficient information to do that. They get a no-knock, and anytime you do that, a homeowner has a right to defend themselves. That no-knock warrant should not have been issued based on a lack of evidence.
An entire police department and prosecution team on trial, still in the court of public opinion.
The officers involved in this case later said they knocked and announced themselves before bursting into Breonna Taylor's home. However, it was largely reported that the officers employed a no-knock warrant, a practice that is uniformly criticized around the country these days. Here in Georgia in November of '06, this story that we all remember so vividly, 92-year-old Catherine Johnston was shot and killed in her Vine City home. Atlanta police kicked in her door. It was a botched drug raid. They were at the wrong place. When Ms. Johnston panicked, fearing that they were criminals, she then reached for a rusty handgun in self-defense and fired. The officers returned the fire several times. Investigators later found the officers also planted drugs at the scene. That was an attempt to cover up the killing. 3 officers were sentenced for voluntary manslaughter and other charges in 2009. It changed much at APD. Earlier this month, our chief reveal investigator Brendan Keefe uncovered exclusive body camera videos from a no-knock raid in McDonough. That's where SWAT officers busted into the wrong home. Inside was a 79-year-old man with a bad heart named Henri Norris. He says they grabbed him. They put him in handcuffs, slammed him to the floor. Then they realized their mistake. It took 2 years for this incident to come to light. In recent months, more communities have pushed to end the use of no-knock warrants. In July, South Fulton City Council passed a resolution prohibiting the action unless an officer's life was in danger. It's called the Breonna Taylor no-knock warrant in honor of Ms. Taylor. Atlanta Hawks coach Lloyd Pierce said that he is frustrated by today's announcement in Louisville.
Whatever the law is and whatever is protecting this case and many other cases, it's hard to comprehend. It's hard to understand. It's hard to understand that if this is protection, then we have a real problem.
Coach Pierce has been a voice for social justice in the last 4 months, has been very vocal on this case, not only here, but around the country as well. 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks. We want to hear what you're saying about the Breonna Taylor case tonight, what you have learned from the investigation and the grand jury decision. What's your view on this? What's your spin? What's your take? How do you see it? You can text us your comments at 404-885-7600. Story of race tonight. Former UGA football player says that racist encounters with classmates and police in Athens have pushed him to leave UGA. But now he says he is being benched from playing ball at his new school. Natisha Lance has the details.
Otis Reese played as a UGA Bulldog for 2 seasons before transferring to Ole Miss in January. But since transferring to the new school, he hasn't been able to play. On Tuesday, he tweeted his waiver had not been approved to play this season, while accusing UGA of blocking it. Reese says he felt forced to transfer after a white student athlete called one of his friends and teammates the N-word, and a group of white classmates mocked slavery, pretending to whip each other. Wednesday, other UGA players spoke out.
As for my experience, I haven't experienced any racism, any prejudice or anything like that here. If those guys experienced that here, I really am sorry for them that they went through that.
A UGA statement in response to Reese's allegations reads, UGA disputes any suggestion that it maintains an unsafe, unsupportive, or racially insensitive environment.
11Alive's UGA insider tells us that Reese's transfer waiver could be held up because he transferred to another SEC school. The bylaws show a student who transfers within the conference must sit out for 2 semesters. We will have more on that coming up, certainly in the days and the weeks ahead. A fire in Blairsville killed an older woman and injured her husband and 3 neighbors. Investigators say the couple was trying to turn on the gas to ignite a stove in their camper. Look at this damage. It exploded. They are lucky to have survived. They were badly burned, but this woman now has not survived. 3 neighbors who tried to help the couple also were hurt, but that devastation in Union City is extraordinary.
Police departments that aren't willing to evolve from this point forward, they're going to wind up being left behind because the public is insisting on change. And so we're trying to model what that change should look like in the city of South Fulton.
Starting tomorrow, a new policy taking effect for South Fulton officers regarding the use of force. The new policy bans chokeholds, prohibits officers from shooting and moving vehicles, and requires officers to exhaust reasonable alternatives before firing weapons. We told you at the beginning of this broadcast that 2 officers in Louisville tonight have been shot. We believe that it has been in downtown Louisville. Let's go live for an update from the police department there to give us the very latest information.
The community we serve is of utmost importance.
Could you tell us about the injuries that the officers sustained and one who's in surgery?
To my knowledge, they are both non-life threatening. That's about as deep as I can go right now.
Do you know where they were shot? The names of the officers that were shot?
We're not releasing the names of the officers at this time.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. Thank you guys.
All right, so we were able to ascertain information. Really, the headline of this is, there's 2 headlines. One, that the officers were shot in Louisville tonight, and we know from what we have just heard as we went to this news conference with about 30 or 40 seconds, that it's not life-threatening. So both of these officers will survive their injuries. We will have more information for you coming up in the next 45 minutes in the context of this broadcast, and of course again at 11Alive tonight at 11 o'clock. All right, Chris.
And of course, we're going to be watching the rain that's moving into our area. It's light stuff right now, but a little more rain is going to be pushing in during the day tomorrow, all thanks to what we're watching right now with the leftovers of beta. More on this forecast coming up.
To have your house cleaned by outside workers. The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear, on 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
A major move in the city of South Fulton to attempt to ease tension between neighbors and police. New legislation makes it mandatory for police officers to get tested for drugs if they kill or disfigure anyone while on the job. 11Alive's Brittany Klein-Peters spoke with a local activist who supports this new mandate.
To heal the wounds between police and the community, we must have full transparency.
A big change coming to the city of South Fulton. Leaders announced Wednesday that police officers who shoot and kill or disfigure anyone while working will be tested for drugs. The city council voted unanimously to pass the legislation on Tuesday. Supporters say they want to make something very clear. This is not an attack on police.
This isn't about a person's guilt or innocence, the victim or the officer. This is an opportunity for the city of South Fulton and their police department to confidently stand behind an officer saying that that officer operated and acted of sound mind and body.
Council members say the city of South Fulton is the first in the nation to adopt this legislation. It will force both police and victims to be tested for drugs in cases of use of force, property damage, and even car crashes.
Very proud today to be able to get this legislation passed and unanimously.
And together we can resolve social justice issues and any arrests that may come about due to social justice issues.
Just last month, the city of South Fulton held meetings to discuss the challenges of policing. The organizers tell me that this new legislation stemmed from feedback from that discussion.
There are a number of songs about September in the rain, and we will be living that shortly. Meteorologist, it's you, Chris. I'm glad to see, and thank you. Chris Holcomb is with us tonight, our chief meteorologist. Chris, how about an update?
Yeah, we're watching some of this rain moving in. And as we mentioned earlier, not all of this in North Georgia is hitting the ground, but some of it is in the form of mainly light rain. And it's where you see these darker greens. That's where we see some of these lighter showers that are coming down. Northern parts of Pickens County, Gilmer, Fannin County, seeing a little bit of that. We had some light rain earlier in Whitfield County, Catoosa County, also some of this spreading into Union County and Towns County. Most of this in the North Metro and just west of us is not hitting the ground yet, but there will be just a couple of raindrops possible during the overnight hours. Now, most of the rain in Alabama is coming down, also Mississippi, and then this is the center of circulation right here of what is left of Beta. It's a post-tropical system, no longer a tropical storm or a tropical depression, but it is an area of low pressure that is bringing up some of this Gulf moisture, also kicking up some storms where we have a tornado watch in effect, pretty much right there just west of Interstate 55 in Mississippi as you go over into areas of Louisiana where they have that tornado watch in effect. We did have a tornado warning there just a little bit earlier. Now, the center of that low is going to keep moving up toward the north and east to Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. The actual low pressure system is not going to come into Georgia. It'll move to our north and west, but it is going to help bring us the moisture in the form of rain that's going to be moving in. In fact, let me take you out there live again. I want to show you this live camera. This is in Blue Ridge. Now, even though you saw a lot of green over North Georgia, there's not a lot of, it's not like heavy rain coming down or anything. You can just see on the streets here and the sidewalks in the Blue Ridge area, The red light's on right there, and you can see that reflection of that on the streets with just some light rain that is coming down right now. Take a look at the almanac. We made it up to 77 for a high today. We should be around 80 for this time of year, so we were just a little bit below the average, even though it was warmer today than it has been for the past couple of days. Weather headlines showing us we're going to be watching Beta's remnants. That'll be moving our way tomorrow, increasing our rain chances, especially mid-morning to afternoon, and then higher rain chances into the evening hours. That's going to spread in a lot of that tropical moisture, and temperatures are also going to be getting warmer. We're going to be up to about 75 tomorrow and then into the lower 80s heading into the weekend. We're just going to go with the 5 on the wazometer. That's our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. Here's the timeline. In the morning, mainly dry. Then mid-morning into the lunchtime hour, some of those scattered showers will start moving in, and then a little better coverage of scattered showers. Nothing particularly heavy. We don't expect anything severe here. And up in northwest Georgia, that's where we're going to have those heavier showers, and then scattered stuff into Friday morning, tapering off a little bit later on in the day here. And let's take a look at some of those rainfall totals. I really think the heaviest rain is going to be confined to northwest Georgia, where those yellows indicating maybe more than 4 inches of rain there. Here in Atlanta, the light green to blue shows about a ½ inch, maybe up to about 1 inch or maybe a little more in some isolated areas. 75 for a high on Thursday. 60% chance for showers on Friday, highs near 78. Then lower 80s Saturday and Sunday. Rain chance only about 20%. I really think a lot of us will make it through the weekend with no rain at all. Back to a 30% chance Monday, 20% chance Tuesday, and we cool down again by Wednesday. High temperatures moving back down into the mid-70s. Take a look at your weather wow moment. This is from David Wentworth. He's one of our 11Alive community storm trackers here locally, but took a great picture of the sunset at Miramar Beach, Florida. Great picture, beautiful colors there in the sky as they were dealing with some of the clouds and moisture from Beta near there. Take a look at how you can be one of our 11Alive community storm trackers. On Facebook, just search 11Alive storm trackers. Ask to become a member. You can also see what people are posting from their neighborhood, and you can post your weather information there too.
It's always amazing. One picture from the Gulf Coast like that absolutely stirs your heart and soul and mind. It's so amazing, isn't it? Beautiful. The pandemic is not stopping thousands of people from across the country from becoming citizens. Up next, a mother's journey to American citizenship.
Brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both? Both.
Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Tonight, several Metro Atlanta immigrants are proud Americans. They took their oath this afternoon as the final step to become U.S. citizens. It happened at a naturalization and citizen ceremony in Gwinnett County. Belling Rose Davies says that this moment is more than 2 decades in the making. She came to this country from Liberia at the age of 2. A single mother says she tried 5 times to pass the test to become a U.S. citizen. At one point, she faced deportation back to Liberia and homelessness before finally achieving her goal.
Now you are a U.S. citizen. So what does that mean to you, and what's a priority for you?
I just want to say, this means this. The first thing I received today was my registration to vote. When I sat down, I looked at the paper, I was like, yes, yes, yes. So that means so much to me because, you know, at this, time in our society, everyone wants to have a voice.
Ms. Davies says her next goal is to graduate from Gwinnett Technical College with a degree in cybersecurity. Good luck to her. People came from all around to honor the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. How young women are remembering her legacy.
Respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
So it's 10:30 right now, and we are looking at live pictures. This is live video, a live feed from downtown Atlanta right now. We are looking at Atlanta police on the move right now. The protests in downtown Atlanta, Hope Ford told us, it began tonight with about 300, probably cut in half by that at about 10 after 10, the last time that we took a live shot, as we say in local television, with Hope, as she was giving us a view from the state capitol as protesters were there. This is all following the grand jury decision to charge one officer indirectly in the death of Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky. The very latest from Atlanta police right now is 6 arrests have been made this evening. So 6 arrests have been made. There have been a number of reports that there were some tear gas used at one point tonight, but we see that Atlanta police have this situation certainly in control. We're also looking at Fulton County Sheriff's officers right there, and we are looking at one of those law enforcement individuals right now with a protester in front of him. So that is where we are in downtown Atlanta tonight. We will continue to have an update for you as events continue to unfold, and as we want to give you the very latest information. We'll keep checking in here in the next half hour to ensure that we have all the information for you that you need. All right, mourners are continuing to stream to the U.S. Supreme Court to pay their respects to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Justice Ginsburg's casket is now at the top of the Supreme Court steps, where she will lie in repose for 2 days. More than 100 of Justice Ginsburg's former clerks met her flag-draped casket while standing on the courthouse steps. Many of them will stand guard as she lies in repose outside the court, and it will continue tomorrow for the public memorial. Earlier today, her family and fellow justices remembered her in a private ceremony inside. Chief Justice John Roberts called the court her home.
It has been said that Ruth wanted to be an opera virtuoso, but became a rock star instead. Among the words that best describe Ruth, tough, brave, a fighter, a winner, but also thoughtful, careful, compassionate, honest.
Justice Ginsburg served on the Supreme Court for nearly 30 years, the second ever female justice. Her legacy as a pioneer of gender and what she accomplished on behalf of women is the stuff of legend. Here's NBC's Kristen Welker.
Outside the Supreme Court from these young girls, a unanimous opinion honoring Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Changed her life and ours.
10-year-old Olivia Sangwa began learning about the feminist icon when she was in 3rd grade.
What do you like about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
I really like the fact that she stood up for everybody's rights, men and women. She used her mind to fight for what she believed in.
I don't think she could have a better role model than Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
9-year-old Maeve Sheeler wrote about her in a book report.
Ruth is important because she tried to make women's rights equal. Ruth is strong and tough when things get bad.
Her mother posting it online, now viewed 33,000 times. Ginsburg's appeal spanning generations, from mothers and daughters learning about her to young aspiring jurists donning their own lace collars, and law school students lucky enough to meet her.
It was completely humbling to be in her presence.
Would either of you be where you are today without Justice Ginsburg?
I don't think so.
We'd be in a law school classroom if it weren't for her.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg certainly paved the way by showing that women could reach truly the highest echelon of lawyering. I don't think that the fight is over.
It sounds like the two of you are ready to some extent, pick up the torch and carry it forward.
Absolutely.
It would be an honor to. I would love to.
Yes.
A call to action motivating the next generation.
A quote that she said that has really stuck with me throughout my life is, fight for what you care about, but do it in a way
that will lead others to join you.
Young women and girls now following those words and the footsteps of a trailblazer.
There are signs COVID is on the rise again in the country as flu season is approaching, creating the potential for a very tough 1-2 punch this fall. The FDA is also reportedly preparing to tighten standards for an emergency vaccine before its arrival before Election Day. And it is somewhat unlikely, or so it would seem. Here's NBC's Sam Brock.
As the COVID crisis moves from summer into fall, health officials are pleading with the public to be aware of the threat cold weather presents when it comes to a virus that readily spreads indoors.
The fact is, we know we could get into serious trouble if we don't do certain things. We are entering into a risk period, and we've got to act accordingly as we enter into that risk period.
Dr. Anthony Fauci predicting a vaccine could be available reasonably soon, but that timeline may have just taken a major hit. According to the Washington Post, the FDA is preparing to announce stricter standards for approving emergency vaccine use at a time trust in the process and the agency is eroding. Back in May, the Pew Research Center found 72% of American adults said they would probably or definitely get the vaccine, a number that has now plummeted to around 50%.
How important is it that there is public faith in the scientific process to get to a vaccine?
It's absolutely crucial. People need to understand that the safety measures have been followed, the real results are in, and that we're not doing an experiment on our population.
Some of the changes the FDA will reportedly mandate, identifying at least 5 severe cases of COVID in placebo groups to know the vaccine is working, and following participants in stage 3 trials for at least 2 months, a process that can normally take 1 to 2 years.
Some medications do not reveal their harmful side effects for as much as 6 months or a year after they've been used.
Johnson & Johnson announcing this morning it's set to begin phase 3 trials. J&J will test a single-dose vaccine in up to 60,000 adults. Meanwhile, Miami-Dade, the nation's 4th largest school district, giving the green light to start in-person instruction October 14th. While in neighboring Broward, concerns boiling over.
The 9 of you are okay with having people die on your watch, on your hands, then you guys stand up there and you vote to open schools when they're not ready.
So that is the very latest. We will continue to update you on school situations, not only in the Southeast, but certainly in our area as well, as a vaccine becomes increasingly near, or so we are under that belief right now. An unexpected consequence of the pandemic, fentanyl-based overdoses have risen dramatically after the state worked feverishly to decrease them over the last few years. Tracy Amick-Pierre is now taking a closer look at new resource offering help.
So we've come a long way in Georgia since I stepped out of that crack house on October the 12th of 1994.
But 25 years after William Moyers started his recovery, he says we still have a long way to go. So he helped work to bring Hazelden Betty Ford and Emory Healthcare together for a new addiction resource called the Addiction Alliance of Georgia. Emory psychiatrist Dr. Justine Welsh says now it's more important than ever during this pandemic.
So I'm seeing an escalation in alcohol use, cannabis, opioids, and stimulants like methamphetamine and cocaine.
Overdoses are up too. In fact, ER visits from overdoses from December to April of this year were up 17%. And that just tracks the first few months of the pandemic.
And we expect those numbers to continue to go up.
Welsh says the Addiction Alliance of Georgia aims to fill in the gaps to support as many Georgians as they can.
Addiction is an illness that doesn't discriminate, and recovery shouldn't discriminate either.
Increasing clinical services, research, and education, even developing programs for school-aged children to teach them about addiction and decrease the stigma of getting help.
There weren't the resources that this alliance will provide, not just to people with insurance, not just to people with jobs, but for all people who need and deserve hope, help, and healing.
Over the next year, they'll be expanding the outpatient services at Emory. Then, over the next few years, they'll be developing a freestanding detox unit and residential program. To find out more information on what the Addiction Alliance of Georgia will provide, you can go to the As Seen on TV section of the 11Alive app.
There are those events that are uniquely Atlanta, and for the last 74 years, Atlanta and Breonna Brothers have certainly been linked together as the leaders in hair and beauty and fashion have gathered at the Breonna Brothers International Beauty Show in Atlanta. It is such a part of the topography around here. The founders describe it as a family reunion for the most talented beauty artists in the world, but they're facing a challenge this year, trying to turn it into a virtual experience because of COVID. They explained to Caitlin Ross how it's all going to come off.
It's just electric. There's just so much creativity in the air.
This type of energy will be hard to recreate online, but James Bronner says they're ready to try.
We innovated just like we've always done.
His father started the show 74 years ago in Atlanta, and it's gone on every year since. Bronner trained as an engineer at Georgia Tech and hopes that will help this year's show go off without a hitch.
I didn't know when I was going through all of that engineering that one day I would have to re-engineer the show into the virtual world. So it came in handy. It was quite a challenge, but challenge is not unusual to everyone during these trying times.
The show typically brings in $30 million to Atlanta, according to the organizers, the highest earning event outside of sports in the city. While the city will be missing out on that revenue, Bronner says stylists in Atlanta have not been able to earn money either, as salons and barbershops were shut down early in the pandemic. He helped start the Black Beauty and Barber Relief Fund to keep those small businesses going.
So the whole business model had to change, but it doesn't allow you to see the same number of clients in a day.
He's hoping this show can help inspire small business owners to keep going.
Take an inventory of whatever skills and talents you have and knowledge that you have, and look at how you can shift. And you never know how to bless your life and bless the lives of others.
A portion of proceeds from the show will be donated back to the Black Beauty and Barber Relief Fund. Bronner says it's vital to keep these businesses going during the pandemic.
Well, we have clouds over us now, a few light showers in North Georgia, more rain though back into Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and that moisture is moving our way. We're going to talk about our rain chances and whether or not they'll be out of here in time for the weekend.
All right, some concern for the Braves 24 hours after clinching an injury issue. How serious? How big a deal? We'll find out next.
Workers and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with how.
Mourners flooded the U.S. Supreme Court today to pay their respects to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. At the same time, lawmakers battle over the confirmation process that may well fill her seat in the 41 days between now and Election Day. More from NBC's Alice Barr.
For Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a final return to the Supreme Court today. Her former clerks carrying her casket up the steps to the court she helped shape for 27 years in a career guided by lifting others to equal ground.
The work that she's done is monumental, it's iconic, it's changed the lives of millions of women.
Justice Ginsburg was a trailblazer for women's rights, winning a string of landmark Supreme Court cases with the ACLU before earning her own seat on the bench under President Clinton. Today, her family and fellow justices remembering her in a private ceremony inside the High Court that Chief Justice John Roberts called her home.
It has been said that Ruth wanted to be an opera virtuoso, but became a rock star instead. Among the words that best describe Ruth: tough, brave, a fighter, a winner, but also thoughtful, careful, compassionate, honest.
Outside, a sea of mourners inspired by her legacy.
RBG represents humanity, a woman that loved, that stood for what she believed in spite of everything.
She's the reason I want to go to law school, and she's the reason that I want to continue this fight.
President Trump will come pay his respects to the late justice tomorrow before announcing his pick to replace her on Saturday. A contentious battle ahead, but today belongs to an icon who sought to unite in the fight for justice.
We're still tracking some of this light rain over North Georgia right now. It's not as impressive as it looks here. A lot of this isn't making it to the ground because the air at the surface is still really dry, and some of these raindrops are evaporating before they hit the ground. But some are making it to the ground in the form of light rain that's just really kind of dampening the roads over parts of North Georgia. We don't have any of that here in our area, but a little bit in Northwest Georgia, Alabama. We do have rain coming down there. Also in Mississippi, where some of that is heavier at times. And then this is what is left of the area of low pressure. You can kind of see that counterclockwise flow right here. That's what is left of Beta. No longer a tropical storm, no longer a tropical depression. It's just a post-tropical system now, an area of low pressure that's going to move up toward the north through Mississippi, Alabama, and then into Tennessee. And as it makes that northward trek, it's going to pick up more of the moisture, spreading it our way to give us some rain that'll be moving in. Temperatures out there not quite as cool tonight. Now it's comfortable, but just not as cool tonight as it has been the last few nights. We're at 70 degrees right now here in town. Outside the city, though, we do have some of those cooler 60s. We'll drop down into the 60s for the overnight hours, and then by tomorrow morning we'll start off in the lower 60s, but we will have those clouds around, and then through the morning hours tomorrow, especially mid-morning to lunchtime, and then even higher rain chances coming in later on in the afternoon and into the evening. So we're just going to go with the 5 on the wazometer. That's our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. We get up to around 75 in the afternoon, and the rain chances increasing during the day. The early part of the day is going to be dry. We'll have mostly cloudy skies, but then here's watch through mid-morning. All right, you see that? This is from the early morning to around lunchtime. You see just some of those scattered showers that are moving in. Heavier rain back into Alabama, and then more showers push in for the afternoon. I really think the heaviest activity will be in Northwest Georgia. We're not really expecting severe weather here. There could be some rumbles of thunder and flashes of lightning, but nothing really organized as far as severe weather in our area. Once we get into Friday morning, still scattered showers. Those will hang with us for the early part of the day, but then later in the day on Friday, that starts to taper off a little bit, and we're looking a little bit dry drier now as we head into the weekend, with rain chances only at 20% for Saturday and Sunday. So we're holding in the 70s, mid and upper 70s Thursday and Friday, with that 50 to 60% chance for showers, down to a 20% chance Saturday and Sunday, 30% chance Monday with highs in the lower 80s, and then we cool off as rain chances go down heading toward the middle of the week.
Sports tonight. Atlanta United has never been in a transition stage. That is exactly where they are right now. An interim head coach and a winless streak of 6 games and a team full of guys the casual fan will not recognize. But tonight they showed a new energy against one of the top teams in the West. Dallas is in 3rd place in the West. United just out of the playoff picture. That would change. 5 stripes played a full press, pushing the ball up the field. 28th minute, a big strike from John Gallagher, just off the mark, but would foreshadow what would be to come. Second half, similar play. This one leads to a corner. Now, on the corner, ball bounces around. Dallas gets a hand on it. And the penalty kicker with no Joseph, no Petey, no Barco, Jeff Laringwitz, a perfect strike for a 37-year-old. Defense was able to hold off some of the late attacks. Finally, Atlanta United gets the win 1-0, and the bleeding at long last has stopped.
I want to win the game. If our normal penalty takers aren't out there, if we're in a situation where I need to step up, I'm happy to step up. I've done it in my career. And I just want to find a way to win.
We'll try to change the mindset of the group to actually play like that and believe they can play like that. And I think the club, when it's been at its best, has played like that.
All righty. Division champs, they are indeed. The Braves taking on the Marlins. Max Fried on the mound, giving up back-to-back home runs with 2 outs in the first inning. But the real story is what happened on out number 3. As he goes to field the ball, something happens to his ankle there on the throw, and he would come out after 1 inning. Braves are calling it a tweak, just a precaution, so hopefully it's not going to be a larger issue heading into the postseason. You know, we Atlanta sports fans, we worry. We worry when, when the postseason happens in football, basketball, and baseball. Weird, scary things happen. Let's just worry. All right. Braves win 9-4. Now, we know you're tired of hearing about the infamous onside kick. Yes, we are. Mr. Blank is too. But today, Dan Quinn respectfully disagreed with his boss. The comments on Sirius Radio. Arthur Blank said he doesn't think the players knew the rule that the players could touch the ball, but they did find some common ground.
Bottom line, certainly an unconventional play, and those cause you to hesitate. And, however it comes out, Arthur and I may have disagreed on how to talk about it. One thing we 100% agree upon is that it shouldn't have happened. And we're certainly work through that to make sure it doesn't happen again.
One thing I've learned in my very long life, when things aren't necessarily going well for you and the boss says something, whether you agree or not, yes, boss. Yes, Ted. Yes, boss. That's it for sports. We'll be right back.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team.
Rain chances coming up during the day tomorrow, and they'll gradually increase throughout the mid-morning hours, afternoon, into the evening, lingering into Friday before things start tapering off Friday. Low rain chances Saturday and Sunday with highs in the 80s, back up to a 30% chance Monday, and then it cools off again by the middle of the week with high temperatures near 75. Flip over to 11Alive right now. We have more on that breaking news on up late.
Of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during Primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid